Actually, Dark Widow is awful versus Leshrac. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
really, really bad versus Lesh, but it's good versus TA. So I don't think this is an amazing Widow game. I think they mainly picked it just for a combo with Mars, and I think they
Mhm.
really, really value having that combo. They did Snap last game, and they just, for whatever reason, did not want to run it back. Seemed like a pretty good Snap game, actually. They could have just done that again.
It's actually so weird seeing Polaris like stray so far from what they used to draft. Like Tiny is a hero that will clear ancient stacks, right? And usually they used to prioritize getting like Venge and Weaver and stuff so badly to stack up super hard for it. And they're just like completely off it. They just got their Grim, their Willow, they can skirmish.
I feel like Force is the only player on this team that's like, yeah, I'll play Mars every game, it's fine, and everyone else is just like, I don't want to play the same hero twice. Just give me something new this game.
He's like, I need the consistency.
I will spear people. I mean, he went from pretty poor in game 1 to pretty dang good in game 2. Does this mean game 3 he's gonna regress, or is he just gonna turn God mode and like solo carry?
Yeah, does it just keep getting better, or is it very like fluctuating?
Eh.
Time will tell.
Well,
Execration missing what for their lineup here?
team fight control.
Yeah.
Offlaner, yeah. I mean, Sand King's gone, so I don't know why I even said it.
Yep,
It was coming out of my mouth, and then I looked at the bans, and had to finish my sentence.
I mean, in terms of just like generic offlaners, like Centaur, Axe is still there, but no one's really picking those. I know old Execration with Kimizu would pick Centaur quite a fair bit, but
Tide Hunter.
he is gone. Yeah, Tide's great. I mean,
First Tiny.
it's kind of sad into like Grim Silence though a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a lot of Tide anymore. Silver Edge on Tiny's pretty good versus him.
I mean, at least though it's like minus.
But what
armor with
melee can they
TA.
do? Are they gonna pick like a Timber Saw here?
Beastmaster, Polaris. Just don't even do control. Just walk it down mid. You have a TA, Lesh, super fast tempo, take Roach early. I mean, they could just like all in on that with Beast.
Underlord. You. Every time I suggest it to you, but I always suggest it versus Tiny. To be
Wait,
fair.
weren't you the one saying that you liked it cheap this patch?
I love Underlord.
Yeah.
I just don't like seeing these people.
This doesn't like agreeing
I
with
don't
me.
no, I just I try.
You were like, oh, we haven't seen its actual potential playmaking here. There's so much more.
Yeah. No, I just hate Fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really all it is.
Yeah, I have to disagree.
Yeah, no, I love Underlord. He's just a big boy.
I like Tide, Underlord, Timber Saw. I don't really like Timber Saw, but it could be cool.
Just gonna say it for the sake of saying it anyway.
I'm just listing heroes that they kind of need versus Tiny.
Yeah.
LC, that kind of fulfills the same thing.
Is that good versus Tiny though?
I'm down for it. I don't really care so much about the Tiny. I just care about
Oh, you
like,
don't care
her
about Tiny
enabling.
free farming on your last pick, okay?
No, I care more. Like, I just think if you can enable your current heroes with the LC, I think it can be lit. They got like a clear timing going on with Execration. And that's like a BKB piercing stun. So you just like stun up this Tiny and your TA and Lesh go to town on him. I feel like it's pretty good.
You say Execration of clear timing. What is that?
Like Deso on TA and whatever Lesh needs, maybe BKB, and then you just like go take objectives, take Roche, take towers, end.
I mean, I agree that's what they should do, but is Legion the best pick to do that? That's the question. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, Lena being the last pick for Polaris, how would you guys summarize their lineup and their draft?
Damage.
Damage.
A lot of damage.
Do you favor it a little bit more than Execrations? Is there anything that's lacking from it?
Oh, sorry. I'm just thinking in my head of something that the Execration could have done that was really cool. So I'm gonna answer something different if you don't mind.
Yeah, 100%.
I was like, I feel like they should have like put TA mid versus Lena and just did Lesh Bane, and their safe lane. Like that's what you see a lot of like really good teams do. Like just kind of mix it up if they have the players to do it. But I feel like Dota's become so stale, or a lot of these teams don't even think about doing that type of stuff anymore, or they're just not capable of doing it. I'm not entirely sure.
Costas. Who is like? I don't want to hear him. Where are Costas?
They're just not here. They don't want to talk to us. They were in my ear and they're like, you guys are the last people we want to see or talk to.
Sorry, I got a lot to say. I can just ramble on forever about this. Well, the Lena last pick, very good versus Leshrac. Obviously, Leshrac likes to run in and do a lot of damage. Lena's like a sniper. She likes to stay in the back and does a lot of damage to heroes that like to do that. So that is why they picked her. And the lane should be pretty good, too, for the Lush here. And shutting down Bob, who he's talked about, is a good strategy.
So you said before that you would have liked to see Lesh become the POS 1 instead.
Yeah, I'd like to see Lesh in the safe lane with Bane, because that's an incredibly strong lane, and they'll win for Mars for sure. I don't care if Bob plays it, but I don't know if Palace plays mid either. Because some teams like to either swap their players around, or they'll just swap the heroes around.
Very interesting. And the predictions for this game. Who do you think is going to be taking it?
I like Execration's lineup more, I'll be real. I just think it's really easy to execute. Like, I think it's so simple. And, like, Polaris's is a little
I think it's pretty easy, too. I don't know. I think Tiny just buys Shadow Blade.
Yeah, okay, it's Tiny. What can you do?
Grimstroke presses E on him and just hope Mars hits some spells. And Willow's whatever for me. Like, she'll throw some brambles and stuff.
You have to land your fear. It's too hard.
Yeah, okay, so you definitely don't have any faith in the Dark Willow. That's what you're saying. Nothing to do with Polaris. It's purely the Dark Willow.
No, I'm just being stupid for no reason. I actually think both drafts are good, but I prefer Execration's. I would rather be playing Execration's lineup.
Okay. And then Fia?
I think Polaris has the edge here, just because, like, I don't know, this Mars has won his lane, like, every game so far. And if he wins his lane, Lelouch wins his lane, which he should, and with this matchup.
But it is the Bob Leshrac.
Then I also think Tiny's going to win his lane, because I don't think Legion pressures Tiny at all. So I think they're just going to win all 3 lanes and just win.
So you think Polaris. That was a roundabout way to say you're Polaris. Alrighty, excellent. I'm glad I could finally extract it from these two on the couch as we do head into the final game between Execration and Polaris.
All right, ladies and gents, we are back for our game. We've got a lovely view here as we do hit a pause, as you'd expect. When you've got 2 Filipino teams on, internet issues are going to be up. And that does tend to happen. Thank you to Pitian for the lovely aerial cam again. If you're wondering what happened to Mike LaPhoenix, he's currently gone. We've decided to simplify it. Since everyone mixes Mike and me up, we decided it's just going to be me now for a while. He's going to be back while figuring out his identity. He's kind of having a existential crisis at the moment, and that has dragged him away from game. Can't quite cast Dota when you're having crisis with yourself. As you can see, both teams are also being very chatty in the all chat. A lot of daddies being tossed around back and forth. Both teams in high spirits. Daddy Nico, Daddy Boomy, Daddy Tino. As, you know, everyone's friends here went rambulan, as we like to see. We'll see how this one pans out. On Knife's Edge, 1-1 so far. Smokes out from both sides, looking to maybe get some deep rewards in lines drawn out by Polaris. Maybe looking to get a good flank here onto the triangle area. Try to find first blood. They do have a lot of stuns on hand. Execration, going back to the Leshrac for Bob. As Sheepo pointed out, this is a hero he wrecks face with. We'll see if he does get that strong start up against Lina. Do have the smoke break. They spot out Tino and Shanks force. Only has the God's Ruby. Doesn't have a spear. We'll use it onto Shanks. We got the Bramblets ready as well. Stopping that tether out. Do they have the damage? Looking for the lineup there. Nice hits. All the spells line up. Natsumi gets first blood. Great start for a safe lane, Tiny. That will just allow them to get double runes as well. The side of Execration going to be forced back a bit. Still trying to find if an obs ward was dropped onto the mid. No sign of it. Just going to play it safe and get what they can. Side of Polaris still clumping up though. Let's see if they still find anything. Tino still hanging around mid. Does get twacked here on fourth by the tower, so not going to be opting to really go too far, but might skirmish over that top rune. They are still in position here. Tether up. Tino looking to run up. Down bot as well. Force. Is he going to be able to grab? No, it gets stunned up. Force might be in spot of trouble. Mel does land. He's not very tanky without that armor on hand. Good block from Bob. And they find a kill for Bob, evening out the start. 1-1. Bounty runes still go an even trade as well. So a 2-for-2 start with kills on both sides. Gonna feel pretty good for both sides there to lead up as we do take a look at that mid lane. Lelouch again on that Lina up against Bob on his Leshrac. And this is a Bob special, but it's a Leshrac versus Lina. You have a lot of range on Lina to stand back, dodge out a lot of spells. Gonna be tougher for Bob to get some harassment off, whereas for Lelouch, straightforward process with a Dragon Slave. Should be able to just maintain lane control and find the farm he needs. Already looking good. First wave just being shoved in immediately by Lelouch. And we'll see if that pressure maintains. It's going to be really important to secure the power runes as well down the line. 4 minutes, 6 minutes can be very impactful, especially for Bob, as that could lead to a good rotation if he does have something like a haste by level 6. We'll see if that's something that Execration prioritizes as top lane as well. You've got the classic Legion Commander IO lane. Lots of sustain in this lane. Level 1 moment of courage out for Tino, so you can try to trade right clicks, but It's a tiny Grimstroke lane. And there's a lot of stuns here as well. There's a lot of damage that can come out from Natsumi. Stopping the Tiny's farm is a pretty hard order for the Legion Commander. As long as he's got the tree grab, it's really easy to CS. Not much laning pressure coming out from the Legion Commander and Io beyond that regen. So it's a very defensive lane for Execration, and that just means Natsumi's still going to find that build-up. So they will go for the Inkswell. Don't really have the follow-up stuns yet. Avalanche is ready. Tino's going to be confident quite a bit, and doesn't quite have to press the attack to toss onto Shanks for some added regen yet, but not enough to shove him away from lane. So that's basically the story of top. Just really Natsumi finding farm. We'll see if they start to apply pressure down the line. Level 4 feels like it could be a point where Execration could maybe try to run down with a moment of courage, but that's still not the best. It's down bot. Vincenzo already caught a lot of damage. Bramble Maze does catch Palos out. Vincenzo dodging out. Force still forcing his way forward, but doesn't quite have the damage to kill off Vincenzo and gets taken out by Palos instead. So a nice cleanup by Palos, punishing that overextension from Polaris. I mean, this is an aggressive lane for Polaris. You've got Brambles, you've got the Shadow Realm damage, you can kind of spear and God's Rebuke people into the Bramble Maze, but you have to respect the durability of a Bane. He still has the Brain Sap to trade with you, he has a Nightmare save, Palos always has the Meld to threaten with the minus armor. Force, again, doesn't have the most armor, even with a protection. There is a window there for Execration to punish. As up top, we are seeing some movement out. Natsumi starting to drop low. Overwhelming odds is up. They are going to run down. Maybe Ink swell out to try to stall out, but you can see the moment of courage is constantly proccing from Tino. Natsumi not in a good spot. Avalanche to save for now. Will manage to walk away, but that overcharge plus moment of courage, it's just a lot of right-click from Tino. If you're not really playing around with overwhelming, you are looking to just run down, and with the sustain the eye provides you, makes it very hard for the side of Polaris to really stop it. Like Inkswell, it's enough to kind of sway that, but if they get their spacing right, it makes it hard for our Grimstroke to make that choice as to who to stop. So you are seeing some back and forth coming through from Execration. Taking a look at that mid again, you're already seeing Lelouch again. Opt for the Bounty Rune. Top up, he does have his bottle ready. Still leading in the CS, not the smoothest lane for Bob, but it's not like Bob's lagging too far behind. It's still a manageable lane for Lesh. Has some room to kind of catch up in the CS here. But you do have to be concerned. As up top, we do see Mavis fall. Getting a bit of a reset for himself at the very least, and does get punished. Natsumi's all out of regen, though. And again, this is an LC plus IO. Tether up, overcharge up. You can just run in, don't care about the tower damage, start melting. You've already got one bracer up along with lots of HP for Tino to play with. As I believe we might be getting a certain someone back soon. I'm going to be waiting for confirmation. So game going smoothly for Execration so far, 3-1. Some aggression down mid. Vincenzo being caught out in the brambles does get caught out by the LC. Should be a nice simple kill, but the Nightmare is there to save. Passed along onto Xavius. Lelouch just needs a couple more right clicks. Not going to opt for it. Are going to play it safe. Good movement out to deny the water room for Lelouch. Again, just getting what they can for Bob to catch up here. And just ensure that Lelouch won't just snowball in this lane. Still not the smoothest start for Bob, but he is keeping up, and I think that's the good news. You know, he's not struggling in the lane at all. Still relatively even as far as everything goes. And this is a bit of a slower start for Polaris. Their aggression just not lining up. They've left Force alone with Paolo, so he's doing some good damage onto that TA. But every single time the Melt Strike hits, it is a bit tough for Force. If he had a support back up there, might have been a nice kill to find. But they have been busy with mid.
Well, it sounds
Spear
like
out
you
again.
need some support right now, Johnxfire.
Oh.
Hello, sir.
Oh,
How you
hello.
doing?
Welcome back. I was getting lonely, Mike. You know, I know you had an existential crisis going on with you and me being the same person, but I'm glad you're back.
So am I, John. Apparently I can hear you twice, by the way, so that's going to be very, very fun. I think my Dota's bugged out because of that disconnection, so I can hear your voice twice. So be very careful with that analysis, Jonathan. I'll be critiquing everything you say from here on out. How was your solo casting experience?
Terrible, Mike. Never do that to me again. I need you.
Oh, here we go, though. Game number 3. I mean, what's been going on, Jonathan? Apparently it's 3-1 in the game that I disconnected in. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you missed some early First Bloods before the rune spawned. We saw First Blood going with Polaris, Force falling while trying to overextend on the bot rune. And the laning phase for Execration's been looking smooth. Again, you expected a bit of a rougher time for Bob mid in particular, but he's holding his own up against Lelouch. He's hitting level 6 at the same time. Rune control is coming out for Execration. They're dragging their supports at the right time to ensure that Lelouch isn't getting topped up. and that's giving Bob the start that he kind of needs. So you can expect that momentum to come out. It's a Leshrac IO lane, Mike. Eventually, you can just relocate, melt some towers, melt some heroes with that overcharge on top. And even Tino's lane been going smoothly as well. Natsumi, still kind of fighting farm, but you can see that struggle. Not quite up there in the CS, and that's all down to the fact that he had an IO with him, playing with a moment of courage, running up. Not much to be scared of with a Grimstroke. Like, they didn't have enough burst damage. Again, you know, Core Tiny doesn't go for Avalanche Toss, so any threat to punish that sort of aggressive move isn't quite there.
It certainly isn't, Jonathan. It certainly is not. Right now, this Leshrac having a very good time. Bob, it's something we always talk about, but we love seeing the Lesh come out here from Execration. Top lane, Tino, a fair bit of damage there, but for IO and Legion Commander, it's something you can't really contest against too much. Have a very good time here for Tino and Shanks. How's our Tiny going? I mean, Natsumi, not too bad. It is a Tiny after all, but that's kind of like you mentioned. The matchup is not very fun here for Polaris. So I might need to reconnect with the game, but we'll wait it out just for a little second here, John, as we are going to have a bit of a rotation coming out here from Bob and Vincenzo. The arena has been dropped down a bot lane. They are going to try onto the TA, but Palos, he will Fairy Fire up and try to survive a little bit longer. He's going to try and fight back now with the refraction. He's got him. Oh, Palos just completely outplaying Force, as Bob and Vincenzo don't even need to make their way over. Instead, they'll move into the triangle, but Lelouch, he had a very nice scan out, and that'll allow him to back off at the right moment. Bob can't really keep up. Vincenzo trying to get in range for the Nightmare, but can't get that either.
And this is a really strong start now for Palos. Like, he's just been able to play with Meld really well. There's no backup for Force because everyone else is busy securing mid and the top lane. So the solo Mars just melts to the TA. And once Refraction is up, you don't have a way of burning through. Like 6 instances of damage block is just way too much for Mars to deal with, and it makes it hard to commit. So you've got to find a way to deal with that TA. This is a strong start. Again, compared to our Tiny at 35-4, Pilots is already up at 53-3. Dragonlance not too far off. There are still triangles to deal with. No stacks built up, but it's going to be relatively quick farming for Palos once he is ready to go there.
Mid lane, Mavis does catch out the Bane as they do drop the Laguna. So Bob is going to try and trade with these supports. He will chase down Mavis, but now a big rotation out. Polaris want to punish the Leshrac, and they've got him. Oh, Natsumi making an unexpected rotation out from the Pos 1 Tiny, and they even save the life of Mavis.
That's big. Just showing how aggressive Polaris wants to be. They're not taking it slow. They choose to leave the lane, give that opening for Lush. They understand that their launching point will be the Selena off to a good start. You want that fast travels. You want the fast BKB. You've got to ensure that mid lane wins out. And they know the same thing goes for Execration. They want Bob to be off to a snowball start to play with the IO. When he overcommits like that, you are slowing down that timing. There is still that concern though. That is really good space for Palos. He's got some stacks in the triangle to clear out. And that Dragonlance will be coming out. Eventually you're going to hit the Desolator, you're going to hit the Blink, you're going to be running off, and you give a free lane for Tino. So the Blink timing for Tino on the LC is going to be pretty fast this game. Shoving in the top tower, he's got Bob around for the push as well. And it's not going to take long to melt that objective. Polaris, they don't quite have the same push potential, not until their Lena's ready to go there.
Yeah, certainly not. It's one of those things with the Lena as well, right? Like, is this a good hero right now? Is it not? I'm kind of erring on the side of not. We'll see if Lelouch can make it look good this game number 3. So he will move his way down towards the bot side as they are apparently prepping, perhaps for a T1 bot tower push. Like you mentioned as well, Palos just having a great time on the TA right now, freely farming up that jungle. Very, very scary to go into the Palos TA as well, especially when you've got the Leshrac there of Bob. So much push potential so early on. Polaris so far doing a great job of just controlling that aggression of Execration. And speaking of aggression, Bob and Shanks going to start roaming the Dire jungle now, but nobody really going to be around to try and hunt down. They'll just take over and farm that area. And it seems like we've got a gentleman's agreement to just keep the farm going on both sides. No fights to break out quite yet.
I think this does feel a lot better for Execration. They're going to hit their mid-game spikes relatively uncontested now. Palos, again, Desolator not too far off with all the space he's getting in. Tino's still just unpunished for being solo on the top lane. This Legion Commander is tanky, hard to burst down, but you worry about that Blink timing, because once she can get a Blink initiation, that just lines up for the relocate plays that can come out from Shanks and Bob.
Bit of a push attempt here from Bob and Shanks, but It is going to be stopped by Xavius, at least for a little bit. Diabolic Edict will still get a bit of damage off, but nothing to write home about. Let's get Polaris playing a bit more of a defensive game here with this Lina Tiny combo. One of those things with this kind of greedy core duo is, you know, you do want to farm on both the Lina and the Tiny, so it kind of, you know, in some way Execration's got the exact opposite in a sense where this Lesh TA is going to be online much earlier than, say, the Lina Tiny. I feel like it takes a lot more time these days, especially for the Lina, but they are going to smoke up. Through to the top lane they go. Natsumi, he'll be on the front line for the team. Nothing like a blink to really initiate, though, and yeah, Bob and Shanks, they're just going to walk out of there. Seem to have read the movement. Won't stick around long enough to get caught out here, so Polaris, they aren't going to be able to make the smoke work. They do at least get some wards down here with Xavius, but they even get scattered out. So they already know exactly where the wards were placed. And so Execration just winning out in pretty much every single way.
Just stalling out really well. As you mentioned, there is a slight concern about not getting aggressive enough with Bob, but they're also wasting a lot of Polaris this time. And you take a look at the item build-up here for Natsumi, Mike. He's going for the Blink Dagger after the Echo Saber. We've seen this a couple of times from Pause one-timers. You know, they skip out in that 15-minute Agchar, they skip out in the early Shadow Blade to go for a much more aggressive early jump in with a Tiny. And that could cut off your scaling as well. You're dealing with a TA. You miss out on certain farm timings, the TA just suddenly eclipses you very, very fast. And that is set to happen. Palace is still uncontested. His team has made really good work of just buying the space on the map. There's no push coming out from Polaris still. That bot tier 1 still stands. They can't even invade a bot jungle to get some farm going, a lot more farm going on the map. And that push progress for them is still pretty slow. They're grouping up 3 heroes bot, but down mid?
Yeah, relocate is there. Lelouch getting caught out, does go down. Very nice rotation from Execration as now he's in the Fiend's Grip. Going to catch out the Grimstroke. Mavis, well, he's going to be able to run for a little bit. They can't lock him down long enough thanks to the Terrorize of Xavius. But how do you protect this tier 1 mid tower now? Well, they're going to try and at least delay it a little bit, but it does seem like Execration should have their way with it. And that they will. Xavius will hang around, but there's only so much he can do as the Dark Willow. He'll try for a deny attempt, and that won't even work out for him. And in the meantime, bot lane, Force, he also gets caught out. Terrible news here for Polaris Esports.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of game 1 where, you know, we're kind of seeing Force just hold the bot lane. He's not leaving it. I think Fear pointed out he wanted to see more activity coming out from Force's Mars. And we saw that in game 2, but not here in game 3. He's just farming up. He was trying to pressure the tier 1, not the quickest progress in the push. He does have his blink up now in the Mars, though. So maybe this is the moment where we start to see Polaris run around as 4, or possibly even 5, considering the blink here for Natsumi is close as well, and start really forcing the issue back. I just worry that Execration, with all the sustain they have with IO and with the Legion Commander, with the damage they have on TA and Lesh, they're not going to be able to sustain through that kind of fight.
Mid-river, Bob getting caught early on, but the press the attack is there, still forced to jump in for the Nightmare. Is going to save from the spear. They will still lock them down, but in the backside, a duel is out onto the Lina that they won't win the duel, but they'll get the kill. That's what you really wanted. If you are Execration, as they will rush into the Roshan pit. A great team fight out for this Radiant side. As Roshan is not going to last very long, Palace does have the full Desolator up.
Yeah, this is scary for Polaris. They're forcing fights. They're feeling pressured by this early momentum that Execration's having, but their lineup isn't set to fight. Like, you've got Lina with just Traveled Snow BKB. She's very susceptible up front. Double Null changes hurt Lina because you don't get free Spell Amp. Your Tiny is working towards a blink. The right click's not going to be that strong. He can't reposition himself outside of a fight with a Shadow Blade, and he doesn't get the added right click speed now as well. So you're kind of missing out on all these burst windows, whereas for Execration, again, they've got Nightmare saves, they've got Press the Attack, they have so many ways of sustaining these fights that it's hard to burst them down. Look at Force just melting.
It certainly was. Lelouch and Xavius had to get in there to try and help out, and that they will. They will buy a bit of space there for Force to run away. The rest of Polaris still feels like their backs are against the wall right now, and they are going to go for a quick pause out. I'm not 100% sure what the issue is, but we'll find out very, very soon. But still a 5k advantage, and again, I feel it goes back to the draft, right? Like, it's a very aggressive draft. It's apparently we're waiting for Discord issues again. These issues for Discord. I mean, at this point, you may as well just make your own damn software, right? Like, I mean, this happens all the time.
Oh yeah, it does. I think Boom was infamous for that, as we do see the Roche timing pinged out as well from Vincento.
Thank you, Vincenzo.
Sharing it for all of us. I mean, it is relatively easy not to keep track with, you know, the Aegis timer showing up when you mouse over a hero, so not the biggest information to give out. Polaris going for that smoke play now. As you mentioned, Mike, down to draft. That early momentum for Execration is a lot faster to hit. Bob's Leshrac is a beast. Whereas for Polaris, it's a slower farm game. Your Tiny scales into late game well, your Lina scales into late game well, but mid-game they need someone to compensate, and neither one really compensates all too well. They're compromising with these midway builds. That will affect their scaling as well if they don't manage to hold on here.
Here we go, a bit of a pincer maneuver. See the Bane right behind as they jump in, but Natsumi with a big avalanche toss onto the Leshrac, and they've already lost Bob. The Jewel is out from Tino, but there's no backup damage. Polaris, they were ready this time around. Vincenzo, he does move in, but it's all too late. Oh boy. Natsumi just way too quick with the avalanche toss, and they just bursted down Bob so darn fast.
And that's something Polaris desperately needed. They needed that investment on the Blink to pay off in a big way. They find the kill they need. They transition that to a tower. They don't manage to force out the Aegis from Palos, but that's a TA with Aegis. Where it's very hard to deal with the 2 lives, especially with I really can't save anyway. So you find the best targets beyond that and start to equalize the game a bit. 8-7, 3K lead still stands for Execration. They've still got this massive net worth advantage on Palos. And he is rushing onto the BKB as well, but this does give Polaris a little bit of breathing room. Although, Execration for their part are still just going for a smoke. They've got dual backup on Tino. They've still got relocate. They can make some plays here.
Palos this time, hopefully. They're not going to move around the map. Tino's going to head towards the top side and look for Natsumi, but he'll TP out at the right moment. In the meantime, mid lane, well, Force is going to drop because Palos is basically uncontested right now. On that TA, he'll take him down very easily. And they are still moving. Execration from the top lane down into the mid lane. Trying to catch out some more stragglers, and they might just catch Lelouch, who shouldn't be expecting it. As Tino, he'll jump in for a great duel out. Terrorize is going to be there, and Vincenzo, he committed the Fiend's Grip, but it's going to be completely wasted. He was right on the edge of the Terrorize. Xavius does save the day. Toward the south, though, nobody saves Natsumi. He gets caught in the Tiny and does get taken down. So overall, not the worst situation for Execration, but not the best either.
It's a bit awkward. I mean, you still feel pretty good about killing off Natsumi. You do worry about giving Lelouch this angle back in, as it does feel like the scaling is going to be on Lelouch, not Natsumi. He's going for the Scotty on the Lina. He wants to be the big right clicker, wants to stand a million miles away from the fight and just get the damage.
Nice arena. Force right on the edge, catching out the Leshrac Bob. Really doesn't want to die like this. The IO, the tether is gone. He'll run the other way, but that is not going to work. Mavis to take that one, and I mean, Palos is having a great time, John, but it seems like Bob is having a rather tough time right now on the Lesh, and well, that's not good news for the Radiant at all.
No, his scaling is eventually just going to taper off. You know, Leshrac towards late game is still great, but you're talking about BKBs coming out. You're talking about potentially pipes coming out as well on maybe one of the supports. And, of course, the Glimmer Capes as well, holding off a lot of that magic damage. So I like how aggressive Execration has been as we see a full team disconnect. Always lovely to see after a lag call out. It's a Rambulan, Mike. You know, it's 2 Filipino teams. What do you expect, really? Someone's going to disconnect.
Even I disconnected, John. I mean, I had the disconnection earlier. I mean, it's a Rambulan, like you said, John. This has to happen. This has to happen. Though they are going to have some quick reconnects, so not the worst situation. Definitely not the worst we've ever seen. Like, what is the worst we've ever seen, John? Like, in terms of
we've seen
times?
10 man. We've seen a 10 man.
Yeah, no, but how
before.
long? How long have they lasted?
Oh, I think the worst one was maybe Signal Ultra versus TNC, if you remember that, for major qualifiers in 2019, I want to say. I don't know how I specifically remember that, but remember that where it was such a long disconnect, TNC used their pause time as well, and then they waited like an additional 20 minutes after using a Signal Ultra's pause time gone. Then we used TNC's pause time, and then we extended a 20-minute pause time because TNC was willing to wait. And then I remember it was March who said, "I will be the villain, let us unpause." I remember that moment. Yeah, that was definitely the longest one, Mike. That was almost like 40 minutes of a pause.
That was nice of March as well. I mean, he said he was the villain, but we all wanted the game to get unpaused at that point, I think. Very, very long pause time indeed, John. I believe it was very late in the night for me, and I was getting very frustrated at how long the pause time went. We were still talking as well that whole time, surprisingly enough. I don't know what the hell we were talking about, but probably something along the lines of what we're doing right now.
Yep, just absolute nonsense. Then again, Mike, I don't think we need a pause to talk about absolute nonsense in the cast anyway.
Especially when you've got Pythian, Jonathan. Look at this. He's found a seahorse. Thank you, Pythian.
Beautiful.
That is a seahorse, I believe, John.
Yes, Mike. I believe that is a seahorse. Yes, it is. Thank you, Mike. I didn't know you had a degree in marine biology. Outstanding, Mike.
What is that? I mean, these look like Pokemons now, Jonathan. What's this?
It's I don't know, it's like the Venoward thing. I think it's supposed to be like a venomous bug you want to squish. It's pretty cool. One of the earlier couriers, if I recall right. It's been a while.
Well, yeah. Well, we do have the go-ahead, luckily enough, Jonathan. No more couriers for us. Thank you, Pythian. So we do go back into a 10-10 with a 4K net worth advantage here. Execration still in the lead, but again, Bob is currently struggling on this Leshrac and needs to get it together here as Palos gonna jump right up onto Xavius. Sees Lelouch as well. Just wants to go for the fight on his own. They might still have the time as well. Xavius gets caught by Tino, and that'll be a bit of dual damage to go the way of the LC. It's onto the T2 tower, it seems.
Yeah, not gonna take too long with Palos with that Desolator to melt through. 4-5 forced out. So we might have to wait for the next creep wave, but you are still at that spot where, you know, Bob is not doing so hot, Palos is still doing great. The TPs are coming in from Polaris though.
Force makes him jump in with the spear round, but Palos, he's got the press the attack from the backside. Still, Lelouch gonna keep fighting with the Laguna Blade and the Silence. They'll have enough for the Aegis. You see Natsumi waiting in the backside to jump in with the Avalanche and the toss, but the relocate is there from Shanks. Avoiding the Avalanche completely, as now they can just move back in, it seems. Bean's Grip is there. They've caught the Dark Willow, and that'll be a start of Xavius. No, he's gonna survive. Shadow Realm is out in time. It's Vincenzo, a nice Nightmare dodge. Brain Sap away. In the meantime, Natsumi, he's got 3 targets. They've got Tino and Vincenzo down, and now Bob on the Leshrac has been caught out. In fact, Shanks, he'll be the 4th target to drop. They go too far. And Natsumi with a perfect setup does help out his team in getting a 4-man death. The only survivor being Palos on the TA.
I think that's the only silver lining there for Execration. They don't manage to find any counter kill. They do manage to get the good target in the grip. I think you want to take away Xavius. That Terrorize is just doing way too much work in control, but he finds a different angle afterwards in holding back Bob, and Polaris with his kills start to swing that network back. Mike. Only a 2k lead left for Execration. Most of that hanging here on Palos, and he is their big scaling hero. But you start to worry about, say, the utility of Bob in the middle of these fights. You start to worry about the TA versus Lina matchup. Because the Lina outranges you, the Lina goes for the Scotty, goes for the Shivas. She just kites you around very well, and eventually does melt through the refraction quite fast with the Fiery Soul, as it is. So even though Natsumi is going for this more, you know, aggressive sort of jump in, just initiation kind of tiny, less than a big scaling core, he's also going to scale, but you have to really worry about Lelouch, and I think that control on Lelouch will boil down to Tino finding the blink angle and the relocate plays on top of that Lina. They've got to be able to pin down Lelouch, prevent that damage from coming out. You can handle everyone else as long as you find that Lina.
Well, lane. Jump is there. Tino will get caught out with the toss back. He hasn't really got a way out. So they toss him right into the Bramble Maze. So instead, Execration will try to push the top tier 2, but once again, Polaris are going to be around to try and defend, and will successfully force Execration back. They are just not willing to force a fight right now, not against Polaris Esports. Even with Palos still top of the net worth board, they just aren't quite confident enough. You know, considering the last couple team fights they've been in, I can't quite blame them.
I think the key issue for Palos is that in the last fights he didn't manage to get the BKB off. He still has a 9-second charge. That BKB is going to change how the fight breaks out in terms of holding down Palos. He has a 9-second window to do what he wants. He can be saved by the relocate a lot easier, and it makes it a lot tougher for Polaris to look for that burst window. But you do have enough initiation stun with the tiny blinking in an avalanche that the BKB might never come out. So it's still a massive risk for the TA to show itself, and I think they're just going to have to balance around that. They would prefer to start the fights here in Execration by just having Tino go first. Like, they've played really well on the back of the LC, just jumping in, dueling someone up, and relocating on top. We haven't seen that in a while, And Polaris are just not giving them that opportunity to smoke the +4 here.
That they have. They're going to be moving into the high ground of Execration, and it almost seems like they're kind of ready for this. Polaris still very patient as they will see the TA. They're going to make the jump in with the Arena Spirit. He's already gone. A great initiation from Natsumi. The relocate was being channeled by Shanks, but it just wasn't quick enough. And now he has to come back to his own death here against Polaris. There's just no way out for him. They'll time the Light Strike Array perfectly and they'll take him down. A 2 for nothing. And that's your TA going down, John. That's terrible news for Execration.
Yeah, that's the exact kill that you don't want to give away. It's your scaling here. It's the highest net worth hero. Opens up the push onto the tier 2, possibly even high ground. Roshan 8 seconds though. I think Polaris with control in the mid tier 2 could just back off, but nah. They're just going to keep forcing the issue, maybe look for a buyback. No buyback on Palos. And look at that tower. Like Natsumi, he's got the shard, he's got some decent right click damage despite having, you know, no real itemization for it. The tower still melts pretty quick with a tiny in the game.
Here goes the tier 3 tower. Very, very hard to try and contest Natsumi now. Even got that Brigand's Blade up. I mean, why the hell not? It's not like Tiny needs any more damage, but you may as well accept it if you get it. In they go. 1 rack's down already for Polaris Esports as Bob is going to TP out. Natsumi, oh, he's just a bit too short with the avalanche, not quite throwing it out in time. It's going to allow Bob to make his way out, but what does it matter right now, John? They're kind of struggling to get any kind of map control going for themselves, or they've lost the net worth lead.
They've lost it. You've still got Palos #1, but everyone else is just struggling too hard. Like, Tino is still doing his job on the LC, but he's gonna need his BKB up, and that's still a ways off as well. There's just not enough map space left to get the farm going. And I think the issue for Execration is that they slowed down on that dual relocate play. Like, they've got to be the aggressors. They can't afford to be the counter initiators. They will go for a smoke though. See if they find the angle.
Here we go. They'll try, but who's the first target? You've got to try into Mavis or Xavius, I think, but it's so tough going into that high ground, and the vision's already there from Polaris, and they look like they're ready for a fight. It seems like they've read this smoke. And in the end, Execration, they're the ones to back out. They know something's not right here. Problem is, Tino will show himself. We'll get some D wards going, and well, that's going to be enough. Execration. They see the Roshan, though, and that's going to be the main objective now for either side. Especially if you are Execration, though, because you can't really afford to lose a second Roshan right now to Polaris. Just allow them to get way too far ahead and just take over from there. There's even an AC out now up on Natsumi to make matters worse here. Bob. Fight over the power room, but this could cost him. He's going to rush for the illusion. I'm not sure about this one, Bob. He's going to BKB up and try to fight back as Natsumi. He's been caught out. Maybe they've got the damage. With the Fiend's Grip, the Tiny's going to drop. It's Tino. He'll be relocated out, but Bob, he ran right back in. They might still get the last rack in time, but the Nightmare is going to buy him a bit of time. As Xavius trying to finish off the kill, and he does get it in time, but he does drop his own life. But they got the Tiny. And that should open up Roshan now for Execration.
Still falls really fast with the damage they have on Palos. Really hard for Polaris to contest this one. They could try to be sneaking. They forced the buyback. They don't want to give this for free.
It's still only a Dark Willow though, John. The Xavius, he will TP his way over, and I suppose he does have Terrorize, so that's the scariest aspect. Wanting to have to play against that AoE fear here against the Dark Willow. They'll leave Roshan B for now. So they still have 25 seconds to this Tiny is going to be back up, but it seems like they may just leave Roshan B completely for now, and I suppose it's also fair enough. Just kind of sort out the lanes and go for Roshan a bit later on.
Just find what farm you can, knowing that Polaris is going to be a bit comfy, except that gives Polaris the window to go in themselves, and it's not like they take it slowly either. They've got a lot of damage on Lelouch.
Yeah, but you've got the trap vision there from Palos, constantly giving information away as to Roshan's HP. You're going to be very afraid of the steal potential here with Palos on that TA. Lelouch, he's going to be just fine. They are going to go for a 5-man smoke, and Natsumi is back into the fray. So in goes Roshan. Once again, Palos going to be very careful. He pops his BKB, but Natsumi's in. He's got the Aegis as well. He snatches it away on the Tiny, and now they can take the team fight. As Tino's already going to drop on the left rack, and Shanks, he goes as well. Oh, it's a terrible fight here for Execration. This Polaris will chase for a bit more, and they get the Inkswell sign off onto Bob, who's already had such a tough game. Oh, Natsumi, he has those quick hands, John. And they're onto the high ground once again here for the Dire.
Yeah, this is a tough defense now for the side of Execration. They still have the grip, but 3 heroes down, no buyback, straight to Hero Force they go.
Natsumi trying to get the stun off, not able to get it, but now with the spear around, Force locking down Palos. This might be enough for the TA. They've got the toss up and that'll do it. Palos does have buyback, but it's not looking very good for them as they're just rushing the Ancient. Natsumi just hitting way too hard along with his Lina, though. Here we go again. Palos just being completely ignored. The Fiends group up the Tiny. They're trying. Tino, he'll come in with the duel out, but they get the Ancient down. Polaris, they're just not playing any games here with Execration. One Roshan and that'll do it. They'll go right for the Ancient. They get the 2-1 victory over Execration.
And I love seeing that split up here on Polaris, that realization that they wanted the heavy scaling on the Lelouch, they wanted momentum to come out from Natsumi, so he opts for Echo Saber Blink, and they managed to use that momentum really well. Now, to be fair to Execration, they had some shining moments there, Mike. Tino was getting some great duels off, he held his lane against Natsumi very nicely, and I think that forced the choice to make Lelouch be the scaling core, have Natsumi be a tempo. But they played nicely with the dual relocates. I think the moment they stopped playing that aggressively is when it fell apart. That gave Polaris room to farm. Despite Palos getting some farm as well, he wasn't really joining some of those early engagements. And that just gave a lot of room for Lelouch to really be this long-reaching Lina that they had no real gap close beyond relocate and duel.
Certainly not, John. And with that, I mean, that's our first series done for tonight, though we do have another great series coming up, I believe, between SMG and, of course, NGXC, so that should be a pretty hype one. Before that, though, we are going to head off to a short break, and right after that break, we'll be back with our lovely panel to break down this first series overall. We'll see you then.
Polaris closing out Game 3 there in quite some style, I would say. It looked very good from them, especially at the end there when they were around Roche. That fight went so in their favor, but it wasn't always in their favor, I guess, for that game. There was a lot of moments for Execration that were shining moments for them. They were looking really well. And for you guys, you only really described it in one way, and that was that it was a throw.
I mean, it was a throw.
It was, yeah.
They had Aegis for like 14 minutes. It was literally, they were executing their lineup the way that I said they would and like hoped they would. They did really well to kind of get what they needed to just take over the game, and then they just kind of threw it all. They overextended. They stayed too long. I think this is literally the fight. They used reload to pull TA to safety, and then they stayed too long after using it, and they just kind of got wiped by Tiny.
Yeah, but I will say though, Natsumi like found a really good initiation there and give him like a shadow for his item build. He didn't go to the traditional just Shadow Blade build. He realized he had a Grimstroke on his team. He actually went Blink Dagger second item, so he could be that initiator for the team. And that one fight we just saw, they were up like 5k. He got like a 3-man or 2-man stun on top of Grimstroke, Inkswell. Really turned the fight around.
Great Blink.
Yeah, the standout play for you guys on Polaris as well was Tiny. You guys absolutely had only positive things to say about him and his item build and the impact he had for this game.
Yeah, you like expect Mars to be your like grand initiator, but like honestly most of their pickoffs and stuff came from just Natsumi getting that blink combo off into a follow-up stun. And he was like tanky enough to do it as well. He just kind of was like the leading force and going around. Like I think Execration, they did their thing where they sort of chain feed and become disorganized.
Their thing.
They, you know, they. I mean, they
have.
This is a pattern. It's something they keep doing. It's definitely something they need to work on. But like, you know, like Tino dies bot to Tiny coming to kill him, and then other people die to Tiny mid, and then it just like keeps snowballing.
Is there anything else Execration should be taking away from this? You know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but another series lost for them. Now they're 0-5. What are they taking away from this? Because they're going to have to start getting wins if they want to even have a chance at staying in Division 1.
They're lucky, yeah. I mean,
like,
at this point, they just got to start watching their games and really just trying to improve where they can and not really worry too much where they're going to place after this, because it's probably not even in their hands anymore. They're going to be in Division 1 after the standings are all done. So
is it a drafting thing, or is it certain things you've seen in their game style and their gameplay that really needs to be looked at?
Their drafting is good enough. Like,
Okay.
game 1 they had an amazing draft, but I think that's just because Polaris like outpicked themselves there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Picked Necro in a spot that made no sense, right? But their drafting's okay. It's not like mind-blowingly good, but it's also not bad either.
Yeah.
So it's mainly play. I think they could be working on as a team. They are finding a way in the mid game to like kind of get lost, and they need to like replay review it up, figure out like what they need to be doing in this mid game, and fix it.
And on the side of Polaris, I guess a few series haven't really gone their way, but this one, shaky start, really strong finish in game 2 and 3 for them. What are their takeaways and things that you guys see as shining moments and beacons of light for them?
My favorite part, at least, has been that they're now showing that they can play without the Medusa that everyone thinks is like their only thing.
And the TV.
Yeah, just in general, like they're playing different supports, different carries, different styles, and I think that's great. You know, it's like, okay, they're not a one trick anymore. They do have other things they can play. They look pretty good on it. Like let's go. You know, hey.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of potential. They look good sometimes. They look really good, and other times they look meh. I want to see more of the good from them. So finding their drafts, I think, might be key.
And when you say like that drafting sort of style, what tempo do you want them to draft more to, right? Because they're not going to get their hands on the Medusa. I think that one they can put to rest. A lot of teams are just going to ban that from them now.
Well, they kind of prove that they can do like the hard carries with Medusa and Terrorblade, but they also prove this series they can do like the Nature's Prophet. They can do a Tiny with a Blink Rush type of build. So they seem pretty versatile. Maybe they just need to like dip their toes a little more, some more hero pool, and kind of like explore it a bit. And maybe they didn't know they were good at this stuff, but clearly they look pretty decent.
They did look very decent. Hopefully we can get some more information as we are having a winner's interview with Lelouch. Hello, Lelouch. Can you hear us? I cannot hear him.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is all right. We will get it sorted eventually. There's always technical issues. I tell you.
We'll simulate the interview, Nat.
Please don't do this to me.
How's your day?
Oh, it's been really great. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been great. Got to watch some great Dota.
Yeah.
If I'm simulating this interview, I got to play some great Dota.
Oh my god, you played amazing Dota. Like, what was your
Thank
favorite
you.
part? Was it like the winning or what?
It was the losing because you just learned so much from it.
That's such a great attitude.
This is a winner's interview. You couldn't have lost.
The game one. That lost in game one.
I see the game.
Yeah,
okay.
if you had to
So you
blame
overall
someone,
won,
who would it be?
technically.
Like, who would you kick from your team if you had
Oh,
to
if I
choose after game one?
myself.
Oh,
it was
I've heard this question before.
Really? Dude, the attitude coming out from you right now is incredible. I can see now why Polaris is thriving as a team. Such humbleness.
Cheap. I think you should just give up on being an analyst and turn straight to interviewing.
Maybe we should try an interview with a real player.
Yeah, I think we should. I don't really want to hear what we have to say anymore. So we're going to give it another go with Lelouch for the interview. Lelouch, can you hear us this time?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello?
Awesome. Hello, we can hear you. How are you guys
Okay,
feeling
nice.
after the win and losing game 1 but coming back for game 2 and 3?
Feeling excited maybe. We need to win all the series, so maybe we can go to major, at least in the wild card.
Yeah, it's definitely still possible for you guys. I also want to know the thoughts you had running through game 3 and that last Roche fight that happened.
Yeah, I think we just need to fight properly. We need to play under vision. Because the last time we fought in Russian, we didn't have vision, so it's quite hard to fight there. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
I wanted to ask, you guys ran Nature's Prophet carry. I was wondering kind of, you don't have to tell us exactly like all your secrets, but like what do you think, like what made you want to play Nature's Prophet like that game and draft it, especially into like Storm, which is like a good counter?
I think because he got teleport and he can also pressure towers and he can easily connect to other lanes with just TP. So yeah, it's really good to, that hero is really good at pressuring map.
Yeah, and like how viable do you guys think Nature's is as a carry? Because we don't see it commonly, like it's very rare.
I think NP once he got level 20, it's quite annoying because he got talent level 20, which is the leash. Even though you use BKB, you cannot directly TP. It will get cancelled if you get Sprout.
Oh yeah, that is really good. do you think you'd ever go the mischance actually?
No, I think it's not that necessary, you know. It's much better because NP doesn't have stun, so you should get the Sprout Leash at least so you can cancel TP if they will just TP in front of your face, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, so my question for you will be: Game 1, you picked Necrophos for yourself mid, into a
Yeah.
game that looked like a very hard Necrophos game. I was wondering, like, what was the logic behind picking it? Was it just to win mid lane, or did you think you could be tankier that game?
I think what my captain said, we just need to win the lane. So Storm is versus Necro. It's like 70-30 or 60-40, you know. Then we just need to run them down. But but they just ran us down after I died at mid. The Storm is just quite hard to kill, you know. And he got fucking sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
He got he got only mana with Kotal, so it's really hard. He'll just go home, then recall, then go again, in and out. So it's quite hard
Yeah.
to sustain all the damage. So yeah.
And one more question for you. So, you guys lost earlier to Boom. Did you feel like losing that series as a team made you like question your ideas and maybe play worse after to lose another series?
Yeah, after we lost against Boom, I think we should have took that IO pick, you know. We just didn't stick to our Sand King pick, which is all 3 games they lost their lane. So I think we should have took the IO. Then maybe we had a chance to win that game.
Alright. Finally for me, this isn't a question, but I just wanted to say like thank you for all your like fun plays on mid lane. You play like a bunch of interesting heroes, and it's been like a super big pleasure to watch. So
Alright,
cheers.
thank you.
Awesome, Alush. Thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank you so
appreciate
much
it
too.
so much. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome interview from Lelouch. Got so much insight into it, and you got to have a little bit of a fangirl moment too.
Dude, he's so cool, man. Dude, his Pango in those first few series, I was like gushing, man. That was great.
100%. But that's going to be it for the series between Execration and Polaris. But don't go too far, as we do have our last series coming up after this break.